Hey everybody, welcome back. We're getting close to wrapping up our Where Americans Are Moving Outside the US series, and today's episode is all about the countries that make it the least painful to actually pack up and go. No matter which country you pick, there's going to be paperwork, waiting periods, and some kind of red tape you have to wade through. That's just how it works everywhere. But here's something interesting I picked up while putting this list together. Most countries genuinely like American retirees. Makes sense when you think about it, you're bringing money into their economy without taking a job away from a local. You're basically pure economic upside with a pension. So how'd I put this list together? I reached out to a cousin of mine who works in immigration law, and she walked me through the details country by country. Made my job a lot easier this time around. Alright, let's get into it. Number 10, Panama. I actually spent time in Panama years ago on a military assignment, and I loved every minute of it. Gorgeous country, and back then the cost of living was almost absurdly low. I remember someone doing the math for me. As a low-ranking soldier who wasn't making much at all, I was still pulling in more in a single month than the average local worker made in an entire year. That tells you everything about how far a dollar stretched there. The cost of living hasn't shot up dramatically in the last couple of decades either. Spanish is the official language, but English is spoken widely enough that the language barrier isn't a deal-breaker for most people. With a valid US passport, you can visit visa-free for up to 180 days. Want to stick around longer? You'll need to sit down with immigration officials and sort out a longer-term option. Number 9, Belize. Belize tends to fly under the radar, and honestly, it's not really a Central American country in spirit even though it sits in Central America geographically. It used to be British Honduras, and culturally it leans more Caribbean, tucked along the northeastern edge of the region. It shares a border with Mexico to the northwest and Guatemala to the southwest, with the Caribbean Sea along its eastern coast. Part of why it gets overlooked is that it's one of the least developed countries in the area. We're talking a national population under 500,000 people, and the largest city barely cracks 50,000 residents. That's a smaller crowd than you'd find at a mid-size college football game. Because it's so sparsely populated, both everyday costs and real estate stay low. English is actually the official language here, which is a nice break for American expats who'd rather not tackle a new language from scratch. Number 8, Ecuador. We've touched on Ecuador before, and it's a genuinely great place to settle. Similar to Belize in terms of natural beauty, the countryside is stunning. The big cities are a different story. Let's just say window bars are a popular architectural choice in urban Ecuador. That said, Ecuador is actually one of the faster countries in the world when it comes to converting residency into full citizenship, and it's relatively affordable to get the process started. Add in solid healthcare, low taxes, and a violent crime rate that's lower than you'd expect, and it starts to make sense why so many expats end up there. You can enter and stay for 90 days with just your passport. After that, it's time for paperwork. Americans, including retirees and entrepreneurs, apply for a temporary residence visa first. About 21 months after securing that, you can apply to upgrade to permanent residency. Number 7, Denmark. Jumping over to Europe now, the Kingdom of Denmark, the southernmost of the Nordic countries. This one's the opposite of everything we've covered so far cost-wise. Denmark isn't cheap. It's consistently ranked among the more expensive places to live, not just in Europe but globally. Americans get visa-free entry for up to 3 months, and that's a hard stop. After that, you're either heading home or applying for something more permanent. There are a few different paths to Danish citizenship, and the longest can stretch to around 9 years. It sounds like a lot, but the process itself doesn't come loaded with extra obstacles. It's mostly just time. To settle long-term, you'd typically come in as a student, a worker, or the spouse of a Danish citizen. Number 6, Brazil. Everybody knows Brazil, one of the largest countries on the planet, with stunning coastline and a reputation that precedes it. It's a beautiful place to visit and live, but like any huge country, it has areas you'll want to steer clear of entirely. Stick to the well-established tourist and expat zones and you'll generally be fine. The economy is solid, and healthcare is public. Funded through taxes, sure, but it means you're not skipping the doctor because of a scary deductible. If you're moving there without a special category, be ready for a long haul. Citizenship through standard residency can take up to 15 years. It's not a complicated process, just a slow one. Brazil isn't in a hurry to kick anyone out, but they're also not rushing the paperwork. Number 5, Mexico. People move to Mexico for the cost of living. They stay for the food, the beaches, and the scenery. Yes, there are cartel-controlled regions best avoided entirely, but if budget is your main concern, the trade-off is often worth it for a lot of people, and the areas popular with expats tend to be well removed from that reality. Mexico offers an excellent quality of life at a fraction of US costs, plus healthcare that won't wreck your finances. And the food speaks for itself. Americans get 180 days visa-free for tourism. Want to go further? You'll apply for a temporary resident visa with work authorization, which can eventually lead to permanent residency. Citizenship requires 5 uninterrupted years as a permanent resident, or established family ties. You'll also need to pass a test on Mexican history and culture, though if you're over 60, that test becomes an interview instead. Number 4, New Zealand. New Zealand is genuinely stunning, but you'll need some financial cushion to make it work. Statistically, this country checks almost every box. The real sticking point is cost of living, especially in the major cities. Auckland regularly lands on lists of the most expensive cities on Earth, while rural areas stay far more reasonable. Americans can apply for permanent residency through a skilled migrant visa if you've got in-demand expertise, and there's no expiration on that status once granted. There's also an investor visa route. Put at least $3 million New Zealand dollars into the country, and residency follows. At that price tag, it's hard to argue they shouldn't roll out the welcome mat. New Zealand places 0 restrictions on how many citizenships you hold. Have 5 passports if you want. They genuinely don't care. Number 3, Ireland. Funny enough, even with a good chunk of Irish ancestry myself, this one's never really called to me personally, no idea why, since it seems to check every box people love: lush, green, and full of character. Ireland brings a strong quality of life, dependable healthcare, a respected education system, and scenery that speaks for itself. There's a real path to citizenship here too, and it moves faster than most of Europe. You can become a naturalized citizen after just 1 year of residency in some cases. Pathways include descent, marriage, or standard naturalization. For most people going the long route, the requirement is 4 years of residency out of an 8-year window, which gives some flexibility to come and go. Entry is visa-free, but past 90 days you'll need to pick a residency visa track that fits your situation. There are several options depending on work, study, or other circumstances. Number 2, Sweden. Sweden consistently ranks among the happiest countries in the world, with a genuinely enviable work-life balance and strong quality of life numbers across the board. Americans get 90 visa-free days. Beyond that, working, studying, or starting a business each require their own permit. Citizenship requires 5 uninterrupted years of residency with a clean criminal record. Again, not a guarantee, but a strong track record here goes a long way. Just know going in that Sweden pairs its high quality of life with a genuinely high cost of living and steep taxes. There's also a golden investor visa option. Invest €100,000 into a Swedish company, and the path to residency and eventual citizenship smooths out considerably. Number 1, Canada. The biggest draw for Americans is obvious: it's right next door, and it doesn't come with the safety concerns some other countries on this list carry. That alone puts it at the top of a lot of people's lists. Canada is politically stable and economically solid, almost defiantly low drama as a country. Cost of living and taxes run a bit higher than the US, but you get healthcare that doesn't come with a mountain of debt attached. Canada runs more than 60 different immigration programs, including the well-known express entry system aimed at attracting skilled workers the country needs. Other paths include securing a job offer, getting sponsored by a family member already in Canada, or investing roughly $125,000 Canadian dollars into a Canadian business. Starting or buying a business is also an option. And that's the list for today. Hope you got something useful out of it. I know a lot of you have been asking for a rundown like this, so hopefully it helps if you're seriously considering a move. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Take care of each other, and I'll catch you in the next one.